A lot of guys hit the heavy bag with no purpose in mind. They put the gloves on, they hit it, they get a nice sweat going, and that's where it ends. In this video, we're going to go over a few tips to help you hit the heavy bag with some purpose in a way that'll actually help you improve your skills. Let's dive in. So the first tip I want to give you when it comes to hitting the heavy bag is to try new things. What you don't want to do is get in the bag and simply work on the things you're already good at, right? You want to expand your game and take it to the next level and try new things, learn new moves, test out different scenarios, right? So try to practice things like short punches, right? Try to practice long punches. Try to feel your punches at a different range. You also want to try to work on different types of punches and different variations of those punches, right? You can work on your overhand instead of just shooting it straight all the time. You can work on shooting that right under the jab, right? You can work on even hitting with your lead hook, right? There's a lot of things that you can work on in a heavy bag, and it should be taken as an opportunity to really learn new skills rather than just get good at what you're already good at. In Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers, he actually talks about something called the 10,000 hour rule, and what that is basically a little formula that he came up with for the amount of time that it takes for somebody to become world class at something, right? Whether you're talking about the Beatles, Venus and Serena Williams, right? Floyd Mayweather, or whoever achieved something great, it usually takes them about 10,000 hours to get really, really world class level at the activity that they're partaking in. In the book Talent is Overrated, the author Geoff actually takes this to another level where he talks about it's not just 10,000 hours of doing something, it's 10,000 hours of deliberate practice, right? So the way you apply that to boxing, or in this case the heavy bag, is it's not just you hitting the bag that's going to make you better. It's the deliberate practice, having feedback either from yourself, from your recordings, or from the mirror, right? Whatever it is, self-analysis, and just trying new things, deliberately practicing the way you do something, especially drilling when it comes to the heavy bag, right? You want to just focus on improving yourself. Everything you do on the bag is to learn new things, improve everything about them, and iron out your craft, right? Sharpen that steel and get better at what you do. So trying new things and deliberately practice them is important. That's why the next tip is to have a goal in mind when you go to hit the bag, right? Always have a goal in mind. We've all met those guys that say they used to box and then come to find out they were doing cardio boxing classes, right? Which is not boxing. And you don't want to be a guy that hits the bag for cardio, right? Especially if you're a fighter. So you want to come in, you want to have a goal in mind. So today, for example, you could say, I want to work on my defense. It's actually a great place to work on a heavy bag for defense, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to move your head as much as you throw your punches. So if I throw 3 punches, right, I'm going to move my head 3 times, right? Or maybe today I'm going to work on my power. So I'm going to do the George Foreman drill, right, which you guys could check out in my other video. And I'm just going to wail on the bag and work on my hard punches, right, focusing purely on power, and maybe do 1 punch per round and just focus on making that punch harder to build that density in the bones, in the muscles, and teach myself how to put really the whole body behind those punches, right? Or I'm going to work on speed, and I'm going to try to make 2 punches sound like 1, right? Always have a goal in mind when you hit the bag, and make sure you're working on those things. Even things like parrying, right? It's not just the action that you're working on, but the muscles that are related to that action. So you can work on parries on the bag, right? You constantly want to get that, because a strong parry will demoralize your opponent, and you could build those muscles to give you that strong parry on the bag, right? And then you could counter off of it. Anything that you want to work on, you want to have that goal in mind when you go to hit the bag, and try to usually stick to 1 goal per day, right? Have something specific that you want to work on that day, whether it's body shots, whether it's head movement, right? Whether it's speed, whether it's cardio, and you're just going to do the Mayweather routine, or you're going to do the drill where you don't let 3 seconds go by between each punch, right? Whatever it is, you want to have that goal in mind when you go to hit the bag. Always pick a specific target, a specific thing you want to accomplish when you're hitting that bag. So this next tip I alluded to a bit in the last tip, and that's to work on your defense as much as your offense. The heavy bag is not just for punching. You want to simulate a fight when you do it, right? In a fight, you're not just going to be able to throw a couple shots and then maybe move 1 space over and then throw another more shots and then just stand there, right? Real fights don't happen like that. And that's why you see sometimes guys can go up to 10 and 12 rounds on the bag but can't last 3 rounds in the sparring, right? And that's because they're not practicing the right way when they're training, right? They're just training like they're unstoppable force, like they're this tank and nobody's going to be able to touch them. Instead, you want to focus on defense and footwork just as much as you focus on your punches, right? Boxing is not just about punching. Combat sports in general, It's not just about striking, right? It's got so many different aspects, and you want to work on all of them every chance you get. So a good habit of building while you're hitting the heavy bag is to do a defensive motion every time you throw a punch, right? So as many punches as you throw, you should do a defensive motion. So let's say I throw a two-piece, pop, pop, I should pop, pop, do 2 head movements, right? Or if I throw a jab, hop, I should step out the way, right? If you want to learn how to fight like Lomachenko, it's not a mystery how to do that, right? The fancy footwork that he has, the man he has, he practices that. If you even see him on the bag, right? He'll throw a hot combination, boom, come around, and boom, shoot that hook, right? Everything you want to do, you want to practice. Body shots, right? Intercepting shots, head movement, bam, bam, bam. Come up top. Picture like you're fighting somebody, right? Visualize an opponent. Imagine he's about to throw a jab at you and you want to counter, right? So maybe, boom, go with a jab to the body, right? Imagine he's about to shoot another jab. This time you want to come and then shoot the right over the top, right? And just keep practicing different things. Picture an opponent doing things to you that maybe hurt you in the last fight, or maybe is the reason you got your ass kicked in the last fight, and work on those things, right? Work on that defense. Even things like blocking, right? You want to just counter off that block, right? Counter off that block. And especially things like parrying. A strong parry can go a long way, right? Practice that. Bam, bam, bam. You want to practice all these things while you're fighting, right? You don't want to just sit there and shoot the shots. You want to make sure that you're working on your entire game rather than just your punches. Do it, try it, drill it, get better at it, take your game to the next level. So the next tip is to not play Survivor. A lot of guys, what they do is they'll say they have a goal of like hitting the bag, let's say for 5 rounds, right? And what they'll try to do is that becomes their goal, is to last the 5 rounds rather than to get in better shape. They think the way you get in better shape is by adding rounds, when in reality what you want to do is increase the intensity of those rounds. So the mistake a lot of people make is when they hit the bag is, let's say they have a goal of going 5 rounds, what they'll do is they'll start off strong, right? But as soon as they feel themselves gassing out, then all of a sudden they'll relax, right? They'll move around less, they'll move their head less, their punches, they'll take the sting off of them, right? The time between punches starts getting longer and longer, so they'll shoot a combination, and then they'll just chill, take a couple breaths, right? Shoot another one, get a little relaxed about it. You'll start seeing them throw more slow, methodical punches, right? And that's, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, why guys can go 12 rounds in the bag, but then can't do 3 rounds in a sparring match. It's because they're not training for it, right? So what you want to do is maybe set some limits about how much time you rest between punches, right? 3 seconds is usually a good time because it's really high intensity. And also, throw to your full potential to really see what kind of shape you're in, right? I always say this, the difference between come-and-go contenders and come-and-go champions and then the greats is that the greats are able to be excellent the entire 12 rounds. You rarely see them tired unless they're in like the war of the century, right? You don't see these guys tired. They're able to stay on point for 12 rounds, right? The punches they shoot, everything they do is sharp the whole time, right? You ever seen Manny Pacquiao tired? You ever seen Floyd Mayweather tired? Never. These guys don't get tired. That's because they put that work in the gym like they're training for a fight. They train to be excellent the entire time. So what you want to do is the same thing, right? Don't decrease the intensity of your sessions. Increase the intensity of your sessions and see what kind of shape you're really in. Your goal is not to last 5 rounds. Your goal is to be excellent for those 5 rounds, right? If you're fighting for 5 rounds. So what you want to do is stop bullshitting, right? Throw the punch, pop, pop, and ask yourself, can I throw better than that? Then pop, 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 right? Then throw better than that, right? I could probably have done that faster. That was a little lazy combination, right? So I'm going to go, right? Much better, right? So I'm going to go again, right? Much better. And then I'm going to make sure that that's what I do the whole time. I'm sharp, right? I'm moving around, ha, ha, right? I'm working on my defense. I'm working that body, right? I'm working that jab, right? I'm making sure I'm giving it my all. I'm putting good output out there and seeing what kind of shape I'm really in. So when it comes fight time, I can kick some ass without worrying about getting tired. The biggest takeaway should be deliberate practice, right? It's not the hours you spend doing something. It's the hours you spend deliberately practicing something that's going to help you take your skill to the next level. So apply this logic to the heavy bag and deliberately practice it. Deliberately practice the things that you want to improve on, and you will see your game improve week over week, right? It won't take long for you to start seeing results. Boxing is something, if you take seriously, you'll start seeing those gains. It's almost like instant gratification, right? You'll see improvement in your game almost immediately, almost within the next sparring match. And then you want to continue drilling these things until they become a part of your brain, a part of your body, and it's just all autopilot, right? You want to be amazing on autopilot. Hope you guys liked the video. If you did, hit all those YouTube buttons. I'm Sean Brawl Brothers, and I'll brawl with you guys next time.